Guys, welcome back to mantalk.ke. It's season 6 and me and Oscar have been itching to get back here and to have these conversations.
Yeah, baby.
We've been dying and we're finally back. We just did the intro before this and we were just saying the energy is it's incredible and we're very excited to kick off this new season with you guys. Sorry for the wait, but distance makes the heart grow fonder. So we did last season and
okay, this guy's in his bag today.
You liking the
this
intro?
Guy's
I'm in my bag today. Oh dear. I hope you guys have been enjoying the Project Erasmus that's been going on during the interim between the seasons. That's not going to stop. So if you don't follow us on the socials, do that so you can be in those conversations. But today, Oscar, firstly, it's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you, bro.
Back in the lab together.
Back in the lab, making this sweet content, man. Like, it's been so long. I've missed everyone. Yes. I've missed everyone on the set. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a big win for us. But we needed to breathe. I feel like we needed the break. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I won't lie. I'm very jealous that you get to be, because if you watched the last episode, I'm in the UK right now, Oscar's still in Kenya, and I miss the set. I miss being there with the guys and the cameras. I'm here with, obviously, Becky doing an amazing job, but I really miss the energy on set. So yeah, hopefully by the season I should be back before the end of it. So Oscar, firstly, you look well, you look good, you look healthy, you're glowing. How are you, man? How are you? How have you been?
I'm good. It's been a very, I would say, I wish I could tell you it's been restful, but it's been a very busy, 2.5 weeks. I'm trying to align everything for the next season of Man Talk, moving forward with my career. So doing all that, it's been quite an interesting challenge. But there are a few exciting things that have gone on when we were away, and I think it's important that I touch on them, especially for in my capacity as a Kenyan. I think it's very, very important for us to discuss that a bit before we get into the main meat of the show. So the first thing is the Basketball Africa League launched in Africa this month. I think it is the first game tip-off was 17th to 18th, I think, of this month. I think it's a big opportunity for people who love the game of basketball like I do. And, I think that, it doesn't mean much for a lot of Kenyans who live comfortably and who, don't really understand the game of basketball. But for the few who do, and for the refugees who come into Kenya from other African countries, let's say, South Sudan, who have that athleticism and that height, and just that skill for the game of basketball. This gives them a big opportunity to get into the league and play. And it also gives Kenyans who have a talent pool to be able to enter into the basketball league. And it's a big opportunity. So shout out to Basketball Africa League. I'll be watching every game. And on top of that, J. Cole dropped a new album and he's playing for the Rwanda Patriots. The off season.
It's literally poetic. It's poetic. I know this is huge for you as well. For me, the Cole side, yes. But for you, and that's the interesting one. The culture between sport and music is huge. And for that to happen at the same time, it's like worlds aligning.
It's really big. It's really big because you see, for J. Cole to come to Africa and give his celebrity to the game of basketball in this region. You have to understand, for the first time in the history of the game of basketball, and I've been watching this thing since I was a child, since the 1990s. Africans who have a passion for the sport of basketball have a place to go and watch it at the highest level. At not the highest level necessarily, but something close at a very high level. And we need to support. We have to come behind basketballers who are in Kenya, who have opportunities to play in leagues like that. There's a Kenyan playing for the Rwanda Patriots in the same team as J. Cole. And he had a monster play yesterday. This guy, off of the bounce pass, just got up and put it down in a dunk. And I just remember thinking, this is not something that I thought I'd seen in my lifetime. I don't think this is something I thought I'd seen in my lifetime. And it's a big deal. I really celebrate the fact that finally those guys who love the game of basketball have something and come from Kenya, have a place that they can aspire to play at. You know, you finally, if you're in high school right now, you can work on yourself, work on your skill, and you might get recruited to a game, to a league that might be a stepping stone for you getting into the NBA. So like, it's just, I'm still looking at the details. I'm just like, sorry, like I'm just so passionate about that topic. So I'm just very happy. I'm just very happy that that's
I know, and dude, like what you said is actually so key. That representation and that seeing a potential dream in front of you in your context is huge. It's huge. Big. So maybe it might look like, you know, just a sports fan loves that, but it doesn't know the effect it's going to have on a whole generation that becomes the norm.
Yeah.
We see that, I think, in all cultures. When your environment becomes like normalized to excellence, the next generation, that's the bar. That's their bar. So they just carry on. That's now the bar. So you're going to aspire to that and ultimately achieve that because you're like, there's no reason why I shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, so that's key. Just in principle, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So that's been the key thing for you that you've been.
Also,
that you've been enjoying.
Also another like key piece of international news going around right now is standing with our Muslim brothers and sisters and what's going on in Palestine. We sympathize with the families and everyone who's going through that. As Mantalk, I will try our best to to contribute. In any way, if anyone wants to reach out to us, we'd love to. So just like we are cognizant of that happening, and we're standing with our Muslim brothers and sisters during this really, really trying time. That is the news. What have you been up to in London?
So yes, what have I been up to? What have I been up to? So for me, in the world, obviously there's a lot of these things happening that you sort of mentioned, and just personally with that kind of outlook, firstly what you said, I definitely agree. Trying to find practical ways to actually be involved, because I think you have to be consistent with your energy. The same way that, back when it was our demographic being affected, we have to carry that same energy, and that's something I'm trying to do. And I used to, when I was seeing this happening with Black Lives Matter and things, I was sort of looking at it like, guys, stop saying you're going to educate yourself. But now when you're not in that demographic that already knows the information, I'm similar, because especially this situation right now in Palestine, it's one of those things, there's so much context behind it. So for me, I've been like, I need to actually
read and understand,
try and dive deep into it, and not talk from a place of ignorance. So that's been my take on it. However, in terms of just outlook on the world, I feel like for me, just as a person on a personal level, coming back here and things, it offers my perspective. So when you come to junctions in your life, I feel like I'm at one of those. So my outlook even on like world issues and things is I'm trying to consume things that are informative but optimistic at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to develop myself with. When I'm seeing things, if I'm looking at a situation, I see it's dire, but can I find the counter that kind of stabilizes that? Because without doing that, you can often become very pessimistic. So my energy's been that very lately, especially the last few months. It's been that trying to be a rational optimist.
I saw what you threw in there. Now let's just chain that, like that nice segue. Let's just.
Did you see?
I saw what you did there. Wow.
This is me on my segue.
Oh my God. Yeah, we've definitely been working on your interviewing skills in the off season. It seems that we've had our own off season.
Off season. If you caught those references, you play. If you caught those references,
very very big reference. What
can I give context to that joke?
Yeah.
Let's give context to that joke.
Yeah.
Because some people weren't in the live.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you kick off with what you're about to say. Basically, in the live, we were doing some book recommendations and references, and one of the books is The Rational Optimist. So that was a segue into what Oscar's going to tell us the topic for today. Which you've seen in the title if you're in this. If you're watching this.
Yeah. So basically, the topic for today is premised on what Eli and I have gone through the past 2.5 weeks. Of course, we've been doing our best, to negotiate with potential sponsors and all that. But the thing we've been really asking ourselves is, what did you do with the extra time to improve yourself during this time? Like, you've had 2.5 weeks of extra time that you didn't, time that has now showed itself up and that has freed itself up from preparing for Man Talk episodes and all of what we do in terms of how the sausage is made for each episode. So how have you used your time, to improve yourself? And so the topic of the day is self-improvement and how exactly we, Eli and I, have gone about that. Are we efficient? Are we not? Today, that's the episode I want us to find out. And whether there's opportunities for you, the Man Talk community, to tell us, consider doing this. It'll free up more time, or it'll be able to enhance your performance and your productivity when you have that time. So it's an opportunity for us to all just sit down and like look at each other straight in the eye, like I'm about to look at this man, Eli, and figure out, how can I improve myself? How can I improve myself with, when I have more time, how can I allocate that to be the highest version of myself? So that's the topic for the day. So Eli, what have you been doing with your time in the past 2.5 weeks? Honest to God.
Okay, so for me, I'll be very, very honest. So when I came, it's okay. Moving, it feels like I reference it all the time, but moving from one location to the other is a big deal. Yeah. Even if it's just a temporary and you're already a resident and things, it's a big deal, and it's a lot of adjustment, especially when it's been 2 years. Yeah. So if I'm honest, when I came was when we're at the last episode of the season. So since then, I've been finding my feet again, coming back and finding my feet. But I think what happens sometimes is, we talked about this in season 5, episode 5. If that's the correct reference, I feel sick. That's so good. Season 5, episode 5, where we're talking about love yourself, right? And we're talking about how, you can put standards on yourself, but sometimes, I was wearing this jumper that episode as well. Sometimes, those standards can be at your detriment if it's not balanced with compassion. Yeah. So basically, for me, what I found is coming back here. Just my general nature is, what am I doing? Like, let's go. But then sometimes it's not practical. Firstly, you have to isolate, and then you feel like you're not being productive. You feel like I need to do things. You don't want to have time when you're stagnant. So as much as my nature has been, yes, self-development, I've also tried to be like, let's find that balance. So in terms of how I've been spending my time, over the last month, it's been having meaningful moments with people I love to start off with. Because coming back, I was like, I need to center myself and come back to reality, see my homies, catch up, see my friends I've not seen for a long time, and that's an intangible value that you can't ever like quantify when it comes to time.
That's amazing.
So that's been the priority for me.
So you've been working on your relationships.
My relationships, which has been very key. I've realised as well, Oscar, I've been doing very old man stuff, but they've been giving me peace. And this sounds so dead if you're like 18 and watching this, but I've been doing things like being in nature. I sound like a hippie, but being like long walks, just being calm.
Eli, you've been an old man from a while now. You've been an old man for a while now.
Yeah, I have. And I've been enjoying it. It's been fantastic. I'm now going to start doing my young boy stuff. But I've been doing a lot of that. And I've found that coming back to an environment 2 years later, I'm appreciating different things about it. So I'm appreciating my lake more, appreciating like going to the countryside and things. So that's number one. If I'm saying number one, that's what I've been doing. The other thing is what I kind of alluded to earlier when we were talking about, world issues and then looking for the optimistic side of things. I've been trying to consume things that are going to, like I've mentioned, they're going to be informative but also positive. So that's what I've been doing, and a lot of the things I've been consuming is by Jordan Peterson. I've been really enjoying his mind is just incredible, guys. I recommend watching his things. I know there's sometimes his approaches for some people might rub them the wrong way, but if you actually take the time and you don't react, but you go on an intellectual level to what he's saying, a lot of the time it makes sense.
Jordan Peterson is for me. When I was at a very low point in my life, I remember that's when I encountered Jordan Peterson, and I consumed a lot of his content. It's crazy. Right now, there's a new book out called Beyond Order. By Jordan Peterson. It's actually available at various bookstores in Nairobi. They're not paying my check, so I won't tell them which place. I'm sorry, guys. I have to be like this. So you can DM me and I'll tell you where exactly to get those books. So like Beyond Order is a fantastic book. I'm currently listening to the audiobook. It's available on Audible, so I've been listening to it there. And then there's also I've also seen it in certain shelves in Nairobi. So Beyond Order is a very good book. He had another one called 12 Rules for Life. which one of them was stand upright with your back, stand with your shoulders like this, like with your back straight, like with your shoulders back.
Yeah.
And it's a small thing, but you'll be surprised how much change it makes for your confidence, because apparently crabs and other crustaceans, that's what they do, male crabs and other crustaceans, to become aggressive and more, I'd say
the lobster theory.
The lobster theory. That one. You're the one who's reading that.
Yeah.
So I remember reading that years ago, bro, and like it's been life changing for me. Maybe you never know, he might pop up in our podcast. Jordan Peterson, if you hear this, come talk to your African sons. We want to learn more from you. Yeah, we want to hear what you have to say.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So he's been a real he's definitely been a good source of information for me. I'll ask you as well, and then I'm gonna actually talk about what I've sort of taken from it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hear from you, like how you've been sort of spending your time, Oscar. How have you been spending your time?
First of all, I know everyone who is watching this asking me how I've been spending my time. If you're in the lives, the first question you have is, how's Oscar 21 going? I get a lot of those DMs. So for those who don't know, on the 21st, I think, of last month, Rotimi made me promise to start working out, and he sends me programs as to how workouts should go. I've been thinking a lot about my physical health, and how I can and the connection between physical and mental health, because I need to increase my productivity somehow. And Rotimi's been a massive help. He's been sending me workouts for every week, so I've been doing them, and he owes me a workout for this week. In fact, I need to call him. Rotimi, you owe me a workout. So we've been working on that.
And he watches on Sundays.
So I know he'll see this and decides to kill me. But I'm ready for the consequences at Rotimi. Shout out to Rotimi. He runs a fitness program. You should call him up. He's a huge asset for the Mantalk community. I recommend everyone to go check him out. So he's been sending me programs, and that's been one of my focuses, just to get my physical health up. We did a test, apparently a health test at Healthy U. I'll say Healthy U because I'm nice, but at Healthy U. So I went to Healthy U and got my stuff measured, and I found that I'm basically in a body that's nearly twice my age. So I have to put in the work to get to get my my metabolic age lower. So that's what I'm working on, and then. Playing the game of basketball a lot more. I know I've already gone on a rant about how important it is for Basketball Africa to be in this part of East Africa specifically, but I've been playing a lot of basketball, and that's how I measure how well I'm doing. I'll never forget the first time I went to the court. So I'm going up for a layup. So basically it's like, for those who don't know what a layup is, it's 1-2, then you place the ball into the rim with your right hand if you're right-handed, or with your left hand if you're left-handed. Depends on which foot you use. Anyway, there's a lot of technicality. So I go for the first step, and then the second step. And you're used to covering a certain distance if you're fit. So I go for the first step. I'm like, there's still a lot of distance. Then I go for the second step, and I'm like, wow, this rim is so far. And that's all that extra weight. That's and it's rat caught rust. You've not been practicing, you've not been working out, you've gained that extra weight. You're not nimble enough to actually pull off the move. And when I went to place it, I ended up missing the whole damn board. I was like, nah, this is disgusting. I need to do something about it. So when I started the program with Rotimi, my performance on the court has really improved, and I'm really, really happy with what I'm seeing. So there's that. Then, of course, because I do have a career that I am in, I've been trying my best to now work in a more structured way. When you have Mantalk coming in, a lot goes on. A lot goes on where you don't even realize that there might be some things falling through the cracks. Whether it's Mantalk, whether it's in your professional life, whether it's in your social life, as you and I found out that we were not having as much of a social life because of what we were doing during weekends, and then we needed our own personal time to recharge. So I've been trying to increase my productivity even in my career, in my social life, and in my health life, mental and physical health. So that journey, that's basically, I don't even think I'd call it a journey. It's more of a recalibration of what I have already, is unlocking new pockets of, potential. And I'm really, really grateful. So that's the second thing, basically increasing and enhancing my productivity at work and in everything else that I do through being very, very, very clear and intentional about the goals that I set. And then the third thing, I think that I'm trying to get, that I've been really, really trying to work on is my social life. I feel like, Eli, you and I are both single, and I don't understand why. Yeah, you and I are both single.
That's a sensitive subject. But yes,
Eli, you and I are both single. You and I are both single.
And
I will ask you. I will ask you what
yeah.
steps are being made in your social life, or are you still? I will ask you. That question is coming. I'm just warming up to it. So, like for me personally, I feel like the fact that we're young men who are very involved, our social life is what really gets the hit. And the fact that you and I are in the middle of Man Talk, we don't get the opportunity to interact with our fans as much. And so the fact when I've had more time and meeting more people as as time has been going, I've realized that we need to have a lot more face time with the people that we interact with online, so that we can really understand who we are and where we're going as a brand. So that's something I've been thinking about a lot as well, and even about the people in my life who I love and who I care about. They're also something that I need to invest more in, just like you said, especially my family and those who are very close to me. So that's something I've been really, really focused on. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. That sounds good, by the way. That sounds good. And I think it's, for me, I know through conversations like the steps and journeys you've been taken. So yeah, proud of you, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Always.
Proud of you too. Proud of you too, bro.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Bruh. Men don't say these kind of things. That's really interesting. So I said that after you sort of give us a breakdown of what's been happening with you, I'm going to first give like my history, because I'm going to pose the question to you as to what's been your journey, not just recently, but in terms of self-development, because a lot of the time I've actually had a few DMs where it's like, Eli, can you recommend some books? Or Eli, I'm trying to, just develop myself in general. Yeah. What could you recommend as first steps? Yeah. So I'm going to talk about how it started for me. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about like what I've sort of taken from the development that I just mentioned, like the places that I've been going to source information and things. And one of the things why it kind of made me go back to the core of my old friendships and things, and trying to find a routine, like I said, because coming somewhere else can be crazy, is Jordan Peterson, I'm going to obviously reference him, said this really amazing thing that I think we all know, but when it's articulated, you're like, okay, this actually makes sense, and it might trigger someone to maybe do this, and I've been trying to do it myself. He's saying that if you look at your life and look at your day and hours spent, if you're saying that you want to change a social issue, or you're saying that you want to change a career path, or you're saying you want to change a relationship with somebody, he was saying that a lot of the time you look at step 7, and you're not looking at how the time in your day is spent. So for instance, he was saying you need to fix the small things, because they make up a massive chunk of your day, a massive chunk of your life, a massive chunk of your months and years. So he was saying if you fix the small things like your daily routine, I know everybody knows this, but maybe just hearing it repeated might help. Like change the things like, how you start your day, how you interact with people the first few minutes of the day, your small routine like that, what you consume when you're commuting and things. When you do that sort of thing, and then you fixed your issues, like maybe that was, I like to eat too much of this, or I like to do too much of this. That's your detriment. You need to fix that before you start saying, I need to fix my career. So that's one of the things I've been trying to do, fixing the small things. Then you can now look at the habits, sort of bigger things, and then habit essentially habit. So that's something I've been trying to do as well, and I think it's a really key thing that I can definitely attest to. Like it works. Yeah. Another thing for me, which is huge, and this is something that if someone would say to me, Eli, like, what's the one thing you've learned from reading all these self-development things, and I'll give context as to how I've been doing that, not just recently, but in my life, is one thing I've realized that every successful person talks about is gratitude. Like every single successful person, they always talk about how, no matter what happens in your life, no matter how good or bad, you need to have that center, which is gratitude. Yeah. And that's something I've been really trying to do, because if I'm very honest, like just even the last 2 weeks, like I've mentioned, it's been very crossroad road for me. They've been really tough for me, just generally. They've been super, super tough. I've not even told you this. But I think the only thing that's kind of helped me push through, even when I'm like, oh my, I can't even, is just that gratitude. Because you have to come back down to we were talking about the hierarchy of needs. Like, I'm in a house, I've got food, I have a family, I'm healthy, those kind of things. So that kind of stuff has really helped me in terms of centering myself through amazing things and through really, really bad things. And so yeah, if that's what I was saying. If somebody was to say, Eli, what's the things you've picked up? If you were to summarize everything, it's definitely that. So now back to the self-development journey in general, like how that started for me, because I want to hear your story as well. So for me, my whole self-development happened after university, which is strange, because you'd think that you're developing academically, you're developing as an individual, but sometimes the time balance doesn't let you do that. So after uni, this was around 2018, maybe 2 years after I graduated. I don't know if you find this because you're an academic. Like when you're studying, you don't really think that there's any other need to go and read anything else outside of your curriculum.
Yeah.
That was me anyway. Like like you think if I'm reading, it has to be for you law. Like that's where I'm spending my time. So it's not voluntary. Well, it is because you've chosen the course, but it's like I have to do this. This has to be my literature. But for me, when I left university and now I had time to now occupy that space of like intellect with something else, I found myself choosing things that I didn't even know I was interested in. Things like just like the sociology aspect of, and even the physical aspect of how your life should be dictated. Because for me, it was like if I study public health. It was just health of the public, right? Environmental, all that sort of stuff. But when I came out of that, I was like, no, I actually am curious of people's psychology. I'm curious of how to work a dynamic with women. I'm curious how to work a dynamic in a family, how to be motivated, self-developed, and all that sort of thing. So I found myself drawn to those, especially podcasts. Podcasts, they've been a game changer. So drawn to podcasts, audiobooks, and things like that. And then I found that, I don't know if you find this as well, it comes in waves. So there'll be waves where like I really want to learn stuff. I really want to like develop myself in this aspect. And then you implement stuff, it's good and everything, but everything that goes up comes down, isn't it? So you're on a spike, I want to develop, and you're like, okay, plateau a bit, or even go down and you stop. And then a few months later, you're like, let me pick up that podcast again, let me pick up that audiobook again. So for me, that's been my journey since 2018. That consistent thing, when you're getting information, you don't realize when it's going to be churned out and used. So that's been for me, like getting all this information for all these years, and then I find it being implemented without me being even conscious of it. So that's been my journey since 2018. I learn, plateau a little bit, life happens, then you learn something else, you keep developing. Yeah. And right now I'm at the Jordan Peterson stage of that. Yeah. So that's been my journey, and my main two things to take away from that have been fixing small problems and gratitude.
Dope.
When did you decide to do some self-development? How did that look, and how's that gone?
I think where I get my motivation to develop myself comes from my sense of competition. I'm a very competitive person, so for me it's always been, and it's been there since I was young, like 10 or 9. So like, and I grew up in a publishing house, so like I've always understood that intelligence is as general as it is very, very useful in its general nature. Basically, you just can't be a lawyer or you just can't be a doctor, an engineer. No. If you put yourself in a box, then you're basically depriving yourself of the vast experience and the vast access to the vast amount of knowledge that's available now. And I think for me as an African, as an East African, the biggest advantage that I've had is that during my time is when the internet really became much more indexed, much more easy to use, and much more accessible. So that accessibility, that ability to access all of this knowledge from the press of a button now allows me to, enter into a different realm of thinking, into a different way of life. And I think that I have to attribute a lot of of the perspectives that I have now to the fact that the internet even exists. Because if the internet doesn't exist, then a lot of the benefits I'm having as an East African man from the county of Meru would not be there. Even the fact that you and I have because you and I can actually talk about the various theories of human nature that exist today, the fact that we can have this type of conversation, despite the fact that we come from two different walks of life, two different life experiences abroad, you being from Kent and Oxford, and me being from Nairobi, is by virtue of that specific tool. So that tool has really informed a lot of my self-development, a lot of my development as a person. When I started my journey, I'd say, if I was to pinpoint a time, is when I was around 18, 19, I took a trip to using ISEC, shout out to ISEC in Strathmore. I went to a trip in India, and that's when I understood. And when I was going for that trip, I was going to assist a school teach English. That's when I understood. That exposure kind of helped me understand that human beings are all necessarily the same. All of us go through the same pains. We are going through this life in a very similar fashion, and human nature is actually as general as can be. So it's kind of lifted me up from this perspective that, you know, what we face here as Kenyans and what we face here as Africans is unique. When I could go to a street where a mother is willing to maim her child so that child can beg for food, I'm like, even in Africa, that even by African standards, when it comes to poverty, we are not that. Like, it's never gotten there, man. Like, for me, it was like, there's no justification for that. And for me, seeing a different society that is fighting the same battle against poverty, but in a different way, in a more intense way. I remember coming back from that trip and going, if everything in the world is as I have read it, then I can make my contribution to it by, you know, learning more and growing as a person. I remember that was the kind of the conversation that I had in my mind. So that opened a whole other world for me, because I remember I was just living. You know, you're just going through life. You don't even know where you want to go and what you want to do. And so, you know, I've been going through the motions day by day, and I'm nowhere near where I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I'm nowhere close to it. But self-development for me has been a journey that I've taken for a very long time, relationally, intellectually, and even spiritually. You know, this is something that we are very reluctant to talk about. But how you have a spiritual relationship, your relationship with God, is very important to you as a man, because it tethers you. And for me personally, I feel like I haven't done as much work there as I've done when it comes to, you know, my intellectual pursuits or my economic pursuits. But I feel like self-development demands that you're constantly attenuating and growing year by year, day by day. 100%. It's something that, you know, your mind has to constantly think about. So it's been a long, that's been my journey, I think. So that I just don't get too wordy about it. That's been my journey, in the sense that it's been a daily deliberation as to how much I can improve myself. And that deliberation is now starting to show in my life now. And I'm just thankful to God that I have the tools required to, like, achieve whatever it is that I've set my mind to. So yeah.
No, dude, that's so true. The fact that you mentioned that, you know, after you start seeing the fruits of it, you can now attribute it to that. That's really key. Like I said, even with me, like, you can take all information. You might think, I've not really taken that in, or I've learned that and you've forgotten it. But you'll find that you act in a certain way just because of, like, what you've consumed. Yeah. So that, it's been a real game changer for me. Very interesting point on the spiritual aspect. Very interesting point. I think whatever faith it is, whatever you do believe in, having a belief, like, in something, even if it's the belief that there's nothing, like, you need to have you need to have something. So when someone asks you, just don't shrug. And like I said, it just goes. It's just a blanket thing, whatever faith you are, you know. That's really key. I'm just thinking what you've mentioned about the. Because here's the thing, you know, when you're talking about Oscar 21, I was sat here nodding as if I've been a saint, as if I've been a saint. Dude, you know the link you said between physical activity and mental? It's so real. Because over here, you know, if you follow me on social media, when I'm in Nairobi, it's sunny, right? So you go out there, you can go near the pool, you can do a little workout, some HIIT, you get motivated. Bro, every morning I wake up, if I could turn the camera, I won't because of the setup. It's just rain. it's just gloom. And that really makes a difference to like wanting to go out and better yourself physically. And I think genuinely that's what attributed to when I was saying that I've gone for a really rough few weeks. It's because I haven't worked out for a rough few weeks. So
Okay.
genuinely I think that's actually there's a link
Fire.
there. So when you were saying Oscar 21, I was nodding like yeah. But it's been rough. So I highly recommend the whole physical activity thing, man, because it keeps you centered, just like a faith that you've mentioned, just like a faith. Because on the biological level, when somebody's praising, when somebody's praying, when somebody's doing anything spiritual, that good feeling, those supernatural, is also biological, right? Like, so you're having those endorphins that high because, you know, you're singing, like you're worshiping, whatever you're worshiping, like you're happy. So the same thing you get with exercise. That same chemical thing is happening with exercise. So yeah, I really recommend
it's
it.
the health professional.
Oscar.
The health professional in Man Talk has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. This man has a degree.
I have my certificates.
All right, let's go.
I want to ask you a closing question. It's something I've been asking myself. Okay. It's. I'm gonna give you a few minutes afterwards to digest. So, do your goals align with your personality and your version of happiness?
Oof, I hate you, man. I hate you.
Yeah. I'll repeat it so I'll give you time to. So do your goals align with your personality and your version of happiness?
Yes, yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Yeah, but because you see, the thing is, self-awareness unlocks another level for you as a guy. For me specifically, it's unlocked just being a bit more self-aware as to what my pros and cons are, man. Like, it's really unlocked a whole other level of perception and a whole other reality for me. You know, like the fact that I'm now reading a lot of the content I've been reading, and we haven't touched on this, is business books. I've been reading a lot of business books. I've always had an inclination towards business as much as I do law, and I enjoy law a lot. But I found that if you're reading business books, it helps you understand kind of the direction that the commercial world is going in. You know what I mean? There's a book I'm reading called This is Marketing by Seth Godin. And he basically breaks down how social media has impacted marketing and how what marketing has come to become in this day and age. You get what I mean? The concepts, the precepts that have existed in marketing. He breaks it down in a really simple way. And he gives us his experiences. Seth Godin is one of the greatest marketers of our time. And so he's written that in a book. So reading his mind and his experience in that book, I've come to understand that the world is taking a very particular direction. And then there's another book called Post-Corona by Scott Galloway. I really recommend that you read that one.
You love it.
Dude, I've been listening to Scott Galloway for a while. And that guy does not miss. He wrote another book called The Big Four. The Four, I think. Is it The Four, The Big Four? I digress. But like this book on post-corona basically explains what the world will look like after corona and what his viewpoint has been. And it justifies that from an analytical basis. So basically he's giving you the numbers on why Amazon is one of the biggest firms on earth, why these FANG stocks are the Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Netflix, why they've experienced that level of growth in this time. So he quotes Lenin. I think it's Lenin that he quotes when he says, weeks can't happen in decades, but decades can happen in weeks. And that's exactly what's happened right now with post-corona. So for me, how I've aligned my goals now is from a point of in the midst of change. Like, since I am in the middle of change, the timing is right. If you read Malcolm Gladwell's Outlier, I've quoted like 3-4 books now. Jesus Christ. If you read Malcolm Gladwell's Outlier, you'll realize that there are certain people born within a certain period where humanity is going through a revolution. Humanity is going through a change. And if your goals are not necessarily in line with that specific change, in line with your own subjective contribution to that change, then you will find that you might not contribute as much in this lifespan, limited lifespan that you have as you could have. And that reality for me has been really daunting. It's like, you know, the fact that I might actually be born in the middle of as human beings take the next evolutionary step. and I might not contribute to it. For me, that's a very scary thing. And I'm trying my best to like just take as much information as I can that can get me to that next level. Like, how can I enter that next level? Whether it's productivity, whether it's relationally, whether it's who I am as a person individually and looking within, so that I can also be part of that next revolutionary step. Yeah. So I think that's the question. My version of happiness is, how am I going to contribute to those people around me in a way that lasts, so that when I die, I die while my actions have outlived who I am. I think that's how I've aligned my goals. Yeah. So I think the answer would be yes. To that question.
Wow. Yeah. That's really powerful. And I think if anyone was to listen to what you just said, all of that realization has come from exterior literature. Yeah. Like, that's come from reading something, being like, wait a minute, that's the world, that's how that person sees it, I align with what they're saying here, and then coming to that conclusion sort of on your own. So that's why I think we want to urge everyone that, you know, self-development helps you center yourself. It doesn't matter what your situation is, you can find a peace in that if you've developed here. Not even to be really smart, even just to be socially aware, like even to be like just emotionally aware of things. It really helps, and that's why you can answer that question like that, and I was confident you would anyway.
Yeah, where's your answer? Definitely. Where's your answer, Eli? Stop hiding. Stop hiding. Where's your answer?
So thank you. My answer, my goal is aligning with my version of happiness. So I've realized. So before I started this whole journey, you know, trying to develop myself, I used to think I just wanted to make bank. I used to think that was my version of happiness, and regardless of how I
But bro, no, stop. But you do want to make bank, don't you?
But the key was saying just want to make bank. That I just want to make bank. I said that I just want to make bank. Yeah, of course I want to.
Let's
make bank,
make money.
But I don't want to
Eli. Here we're about making money. We love the idea of making money. I know,
but I said just.
No. I was messing with you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, the words I said. So I've realized, I do want to make a substantially
a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, I do, but I think we say this on the phone all the time. Like, if you can make money from being a good person, what else is there? What else is there? If you can make money for being a good person, like, I don't see anything else that, because here's the thing, money buys access, right? Yeah. And you want to access those things and not feel guilty you access them at the detriment of someone else. And you want to access those things with the people
you love.
Imagine
that.
So if you make that money with people you like, you make that money, you distribute that money with the people you love, and then you go and do things with the access that money gives you. I think that is what we're trying to attain everyone. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Because you've got access, money, and you've got love at the same time. What I have realized, Oscar, which might be a shock, is that when I started the whole social media thing, because that's just one side and the only side I really talk about on here. When I started the social media thing, I used to think I like being known. I used to think I liked that. Turns out I don't. I don't like it. Like, I genuinely don't like it. So I realized
heavy is the crown. Heavy is the crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Sorry.
I used to think I like it. I don't think I do. So one of my goals, instead of being like Eli trying to make content or whatever, or like being at the forefront of it, is that I realized I want to actually release any type of creativity from like behind and trying to put other people on. I don't think I like Mantle because I'm doing something of substance and stuff, but I think I'll actually get more gratification like helping somebody else to do it. Do you see what I mean? I think that's what I actually like in terms of the creative process.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is it that you're known, or is it what you're known for?
I love what I'm known for. Okay. I love what I'm known for. And that was a conscious decision I made in 2019, that if I'm doing anything, I want it to be positive. Back to the thing, be a good person making money for being a good person. So for me, I like my brand online because it's a positive one. I don't get like hate. It just doesn't really happen. If I have, it's been 2 or 3 times. Like, and that's just a blessing because the energy you put out there is what you get. But yeah, I just don't think I like being, and also crossroads. I said at the beginning, the place I'm at in my life, I don't think I actually want to be out there type thing. So my goal has actually changed because the question was, does it align with your personality? My personality is not an extrovert. Like, I'm an introverted person. No, listen. I've said this to you before. When there's money involved, I'm an extrovert. Yeah. Listen, I'm a financial extrovert. That's
You're what? Wait. You're a financial extrovert. Okay, I'm putting that on a shirt. I'm a financial extrovert. Yeah, don't mess about. I'm changing my bio. When this episode drops, I'm changing my bio to financial extrovert.
Oh dear. But it's true. Like, it's
Hey,
true.
this man.
Hey,
this guy. A financial extrovert. That's it. And, that's it. That's fine. Financial extrovert.
Yeah. So to answer the question, I've realized that I think I want to be more BTS, and I want to make money for doing something good. And I think that's something we talked about in my life, where our generation, that's the realization we've come to because we've seen the world, we've seen it on a global scale. So yeah, that's the conclusion I've come to in terms of my version of happiness.
Nice. There's a book I recommend. I'll send you a book called Conscious Capitalism by a guy called
you said it's,
that book, you need to read it because I think that's the space you're at right now, where you're realizing that you can organize and create. You have a creative capacity and a productive capacity, and now the question is, how am I going to leverage that productive capacity to create more value in the world? Now, on that very high note, I think it's time we talk about what we are planning to do, where we've created this platform called mantalk.ke. Eli, what's our plan with it? What do you think we should be doing, especially now that we're starting to look at partnerships with charitable organizations? What's your vision for the platform that we managed to build?
I'm gonna answer that question right now. But just before that, because I'm gonna forget otherwise. Like you've mentioned, the conscious capitalism thing. There's a really amazing thing that Ray Dalio says, where he's basically talking about the different stages in somebody's life, and he's a multi-millionaire. Is it billionaire? I don't know.
No, excuse me. No, please. The man
is he
top 100?
He's got the B.
Top 50.
He's got the B. He's got the B's. Yeah, so he's a billionaire. Yeah, so he's talking from a place of authority when it comes to the money happiness equation we're talking about, and he was saying that everybody in their different stages of life is like, you want to build your financial fortune, and then you want to basically make it like longevity for like legacy, and then afterwards when people come back, the last stage of that is they just want to give it, like they just want to give it. So I was thinking, why, now that somebody from the top of the mountain has said this is how it looks up here, why don't we look at that? Because it's always good to learn from everybody else's process and be like, when I'm trying to attain this wealth, why don't I do it concurrently with giving back at the same time? And then you don't have to go through that cycle. You're just, while you're attaining wealth, the way you're attaining it is by helping people anyway. So by the time you come back to that circle, you've been doing it consistently. Yeah. Because sometimes you can try to attain the wealth, but at the detriment, like I mentioned, of somebody else. So that's kind of how I came to that conclusion, from looking at somebody that's achieved that and being like, you're a billionaire and you're saying this.
You know something we were discussing also that popped up on the live on Project Darasa was the fact that I don't think the generations behind us will have a tolerance for people who are billionaires. That accumulation of wealth in one place, if you're not justifying it by social enterprise, by giving back as much as you're getting, and basically moving the needle for humanity, like let's say there are people who have accumulated a lot of wealth and they've just been holding on to it, and they have no inclination for philanthropy, and it's their right. But I don't know if I'm starting to realize that there's a tolerance that's really, really gone down for people who are like who have a lot of wealth and are not willing to deploy that capital for the betterment of other people's lives. I don't know. It's just a sentiment that I've realized that Gen Z especially, they don't idolize the billionaire class as much as the baby boomer generation or the millennial generation. I've realized that a lot with Gen Z. Whenever I have conversations, when conversations get to me about the wealth, and now you see, I think that even for us as a platform, we should be putting a light on these people who are, of course, have managed to create value that way in terms of creating an exponential amount of money. But we should also look at the young, upcoming entrepreneurs who are giving the society today a lot of value. Because we might learn a lot as to where we as Kenyans and where we as the human race are going in terms of
100%.
What capitalism is going to look like in the next 50 to 70 years. And that's like,
that's so
just
true.
like to talk about, like, when you mentioned Ray Dalio, I remember that's kind of where his mind is at right now. Did you finish?
I think the thing
Did you finish the Principles book? Did you finish the audible?
I think I did, but it's one of those ones. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I think you need to read it 2-3 times.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you can actually just go to a random chapter and just.
How
read.
strange is that?
Yeah. He's fantastic. Just the comment before I answer the question of where do we see Mantle. My sister always says that she doesn't see how somebody can become a billionaire and be a good person at the same time. She said there's no way you amount that kind of wealth in your life without being a bad person at some points. Do you agree? Yes or no?
There's a difference between being bad and being ruthless.
Mm-hmm. But the core thing being to attain $1 billion dollars.
There's a difference, Eli, between
does that
there's a difference between.
Are they mutually exclusive?
Those are two. Being bad and being ruthless are two very different things. Bad, first of all, is subjective. It's not an objective point of view. Being ruthless is extremely objective. If someone is considered ruthless, you look at what moves they've made for the betterment and furtherment of their own agenda. Sometimes that agenda might require you to be a bit cutthroat, whether you're in charity, whether you're in business, whether you're in sports. A ruthless mentality will serve to push your agenda more than a bad one will. My perspective. For me, a bad outcome is where your business goals, your financial goals, your career objectives are not met. That's a bad outcome. A ruthless outcome is where they are met despite of the circumstances that are in front of you. So you see, from where I'm sitting and my understanding of business, there's a difference between being bad and being ruthless. So a ruthless person will get to $1 billion. If you're tolerant and you don't have a standard, $1 billion is something you'll only have in conversation.
So in short, you're agreeing. Because tolerance is normally equated to caring about individuals over the bigger picture. So you'll tolerate that because you're like, I'm thinking about that individual or that situation. But if you're not tolerant, you're like, I don't have time to give that sympathy because there's a bigger goal. Because tolerance is patience, right?
Yeah. Eli, let's look at your perspective. You yourself. As a person, Eli, you have very high standards. You have very high standards as a person. You want to work out every day.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
Yeah, you have very high standards.
Thank you.
If someone who's giving a service to you in whatever capacity deviates from those standards, you see, if they deviate once, you'll be like, okay, fine. But if they get to a point where they're being inefficient, now you'll have to take certain steps. To the person to whom you're subjecting those steps to, or meeting out whatever decisions you're making to, it'll look bad. Because at the end of the day, it'll look bad. But in the grander scheme of things, it's what needed to be done. So
but I think the defining factor there is how that plays out, in my opinion. I think that's the defining factor as to if that person perceives it as good, as bad, or like ruthless. Because at that point, the way you say to a person, I can no longer have your services, determines that. You can be like, there's a clear... Because here's the thing, if you give somebody a clear road, if they deviate from the road, they can already know they've gone off track. Yeah. So if you say to them, this is red, green, amber, and at green you say, listen, like if you do this, it's amber. When they do the step after red, then they can't look at you and say you're bad. They can look at themselves and be like, I made those steps. So that's personally, to answer the question with me, that's how I like to do it. Like it's very clear parameters. So if you have done that, and this happens even in relationships, like if these are the ultimatums, and if you can't engage, if you can't, I feel like I'm on a phone call. If these are the parameters, if you can't adhere to them, even on a friendship level, this is me, or this is business. This is, you see. So we won't engage anyway if we can't meet at that first point. So if we've got to that first point, the parameters are set, and then now we're going further on in the relationship, in any relationship, and you've deviated, and we're like, okay, I understand we're human beings, but just remember, this first engagement started with these parameters. Like I said, when you get to red, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's above you. It's above you, like I said.
Yeah.
But you see, Eli, are you seeing even from that point of view, if the Eli that person will be talking to will be a very different Eli from the one who was setting the standards. Am I wrong or am I right?
Exactly. And that's where the question of
bad and ruthless,
that defining moment.
Yeah,
that defining moment.
Yeah, and I've been with you in one of those moments. We have been there side by side, and I know what I'm saying when I say there's a difference between bad and ruthless. So tell Becky that her brother is a very good example of someone who is not bad but is definitely ruthless.
Of a billionaire. Of a billionaire. Of a financial extrovert. No.
You're a financial extrovert. We're financial extroverts. I'm changing it for. I'm wearing. Make me a shirt. Financial extroverts. I
love it. I love it. We've really.
Now.
We're nearly hitting an hour.
It's been a fantastic conversation. So now, Eli, let's finally end this with what's coming up soon, which I'd asked you a lead-up question to about what we want the mantalk.ke platform to be about during this time. We realize that we haven't had a lot of time to interact with our fans. And we've not had a lot of time to interact with our subscribers. In fact, if you're watching this, please like, subscribe, share. We need the numbers.
Come on.
They've been this. Then we can meet up and talk. So that's the vision we have. I have personally. Let me go first. We want people who are like of action, who are actually contributing to society today. Like we are actual social contributors, and we've had. And that's what I'd want for Mantalk, for me. Like the Mantalk fans, the Mantalk community. Shout out to the Mantalk.ke girls. Shout out to the brave few men who stand for us and stand with us. Like we are now entering a phase where we've built a platform where we want that platform to now be leveraged to cause positive social change. That's where we are. That's where we are at right now.
I like what you said. I definitely, obviously we co-sign this because if we're talking about the future of Mantalk, it's something we discuss regularly, basically every day.
Every day. Every damn day.
Every day. Where I see the Mantalk platform, what I'd like from it, to summarize, I just want it to be just a kind and positive place. I don't want it to be complex. Just kind, positive, and
vibes.
That's it. That's it, because there's not a lot of those places.
Yeah, just vibes.
And there needs to be more.
Just vibes.
So,
just vibes.
Just vibes. But that's basically
like Pascal Chokodi said. Yeah. Vibes. That's what we're about.
When you find a good one. Oh, sorry. When you find a good one.
Vibes.
Amazing.
All right.
So just parting thought, like what we basically said. If I was just to say 2 things to take away is fix the small things, gratitude, and exercise.
Wow. If I was to say 3 things, read a lot of books, they help. 2 is, pull up for mantalk.ke at Ke Eli. Let's sit down and have conversations around growth, and let's create a community of love and care, And then 3rd is self-development is your own responsibility. Nobody's going to do that for you. Facts.
Facts. I like the books you've referenced. I didn't talk about the whole the actual consequence of what I've been reading in terms of optimism and stuff, but read the Rational Optimism and 10 world trends that every person should.
We'll put up a book list
that's
after the
right.
episode. I think we should do that.
Yeah, people are saying we need to have a book club, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll explore that. We're gonna have a phone call after. We'll explore that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope people enjoyed this episode, man. It feels so good to be back in the seat. We're back in our bag. Episodes every week.
And they ain't going to stop.
It's a happy
They're
time.
not going to stop.
They're never gonna stop. The new model. We are in control.
Yeah,
It's
we're in
fantastic
control
to be
now.
here. So yeah, we love it. We love it. So yeah, man. Oscar, always good to see you, man. Enjoy the Kenyan sunshine on my behalf. It's gloomy here. I'm gonna go meet my boys in London.
Aye, bro. Cheers. I'll call you up.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for watching so much. We'll see you next week for another episode of Man Talk Ke Eli. What will the topic be?
We don't know.
Next week.
We can only know. Aye, bye.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you in a bit, Oscar. We don't have to end this, but I'm just gonna end the camera. But see you later, guys.
Bye.